disgusting. Hated that show.
Wait. You think that cat dog is disgusting? Like a crime against nature?
It's just it was just not good. Not good show. Bad show. Bad show.
Hello and welcome. My name is Alex Gonzalez. With me today is my good old friend J.E.
Hey, that's me.
And please remember that we are not game devs. How are you doing today, Jay?
Doing good. Pretty hungry, actually. I haven't eaten yet.
No cucumber salad today?
No. I was going to cook a chicken kimchi soup, but then I played Tiny Tina's too much.
I get that.
Do you?
No, I never miss a meal and I look like I don't. But those are not the meals we're talking about today. Today we're creating something new. Every week, we are not game devs. We're going to imagine a brand new video game idea from our minds. Join in on the fun. Be creative, and if you have your own unique video game idea or want to patch ours, write in to @poundgames@gmail.com. Today is my turn to present the 212th IP. So I want to play a game where it's going to be third person and you're going to play as a virus. And you're going to look like a human, but you're going to be in a virus world. Imagine similar, like a cell world, like anime.
Are we doing Osmosis Jones or are we doing like computer, like what kind of virus? Are we talking about computer virus or virus?
Osmosis Jones, which is one of I think the inspirations for this. And you're going to have the power to take over other cells and hide in those other cells. And you can then use the power of whatever cell that is. However, the longer you stay and the more people you take over, the more white blood cells replicate as they find virus remains. So if you stay in an area too long, white blood cells are eventually going to track you down and they start multiplying. So if you leave a dead cell behind, because as a virus leaves one cell to the other to maybe use another power or leave because it's more advantageous to use their own powers, the white blood cells are eventually going to find this evidence and then start multiplying the way a white blood cell would if there was a virus present. So far, that's what I got, and I imagine it like this. Did you ever watch The Matrix?
Mm-hmm.
So the way Mr. Smith starts multiplying when he finds Neo.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool concept, right? I think this is dope. This is an idea I got excited about when it entered my brain.
I like it. I still don't know how in my head it looks like, but I think the gameplay, what's going to happen is you are, and I imagine this kind of like an open world, but more so
like
in the
Hitman.
vein of Hitman or like even GTA.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, where you have this
catch my
whole
drift.
body to traverse throughout, and then
I just want the cities and everything to be subplanted and be cells, but to have that structure too. So that like if you're entering cell walls, it's going to be one of those things where you can get in and there's nucleuses and there'll be clubs and stuff. And we can make it ultra stylized where these cells are human-like in nature, but then they all have their own little styles where there's hairdos and stuff like that. Imagine almost like a space alien game in terms of design, but instead of it being space aliens, you're going down into cells, right?
Yeah. How about in terms of how it looks, let's make it look like, do you remember the Pinocchio level from Kingdom Hearts 1?
Yeah. Well, what are you referencing? That level actually frustrated me.
Oh yeah, that was a terrible level. But I feel like it's gonna kind of look like that, and then the characters are gonna kind of look like this is a deep cut reference. But in SpongeBob, there was an episode where SpongeBob blows his own best friend out of a bubble.
Yeah.
and he just was hanging out with this guy named Bubble, and everyone hated Bubble. And then Bubble got up and walked away at the end of the episode. I kind of imagine everyone looking like that, but of course, like filled in, not a bubble, but like they'll be filled in, and everyone in this world, depending on what kind of cell they are, looks kind of different in shape,
Yeah.
color, form.
Mhm.
Yeah, hairdo. We could even put clothes on these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And then as you're traveling through, I think there's going to be highway systems that are fully, you could drive through these highways, and it would be like red cells, but they're like blood, they're like cars, and you just drive through, and then you
That's
get into
awesome. Yeah, in a bloodstream, and those are freeways. Now you're catching my drift.
yeah, and then you'll like go into different parts of this, like different cities or different neighborhoods, but they're just different major parts of the body system. So like you go through the heart, you go through the brain, you go through like the bladder, stomach systems. You go like there are all these major systems throughout, and they'll all have like different places you could go. Like it'll be like Cyberpunk or like GTA, where like in the heart, that's where all the hospitals and stuff are, and then in the brain, that's where all the like I don't know, clubs, alcohol,
And we can do it these different
marijuana,
levels. Yeah, and I like it because
libraries.
we can have these different levels where different cells hang out that have different functions and different powers. And as a parasite, not parasite, excuse me, a virus, I think you're going to have a temporary cloak, like a stealth cloak that you can use. You're going to be able to take over cells and use their powers. And then maybe like a dash or a jump or a double jump. What do you think? Or both? A dash and a double jump?
I was thinking instead of it being mobile like that, it would be more like stealth and I don't know the word for it right now, but maybe you could help me. But like I was thinking like the mechanics is if you're about to get caught, you would like go into one cell and have it start walking in this direction and make like the white blood cells think that that was just you, and so they follow that, and then you go into another cell
Like a
and you make
decoy.
that cell, yeah, like a decoy, and then that cell
Yeah.
you make it so it starts spreading in that direction, so then it starts infecting this other portion, and so the white blood cells have to manage that, and then you go to another cell and you make that cell do something else, and then eventually the point of the game is for you as a virus get away from the white blood cells while trying to infect the entire body. Is I think the goal of the game is to try
I think
and infect
in
the
key
whole body.
areas. So I
Yeah.
think it should be like let's do the main goal of the level is to infect like the main part, right? So it's going to be the boss almost that you're going to infect. And then I think the second subjective, if you want 100% on the level, is to infect every single person. And then the white blood cells eventually, I think when you end the level, is going to be like there's going to be so many of them looking for you because they're sensing everyone's infected.
What if after you complete each portion, so let's say you have completely infected the bowel system, you'll get a permanent perk because this human is now sick in the stomach. You now get a buff where every time you infect a new cell, you can make them barf, and that will cause him to, or that cell to infect a bunch of other cells, and then so on and so forth. And then you take over the brain, and then the human that you're inside, now their brain is sick. They might have like a headache or something. So now you have the ability to mind control other cells, and that's how you get the decoy move. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then like each section, depending on what part of the body it is, it's going to be much more difficult to completely infect that area unless you have certain skills from others. So it's going to be kind of like Mega Man in that way, where you have to kind of choose what area to infect, but it's not going to be like Mega Man where you focus on one forever. You have to move between different parts of the body at all times, slowly trying to infect all the body all at the same time because you're always on the move away from the white blood cells.
I like it. I like it. So we know that's going to be kind of stylish, that they're going to be buildings designed, everything like that.
Yeah, it's going to all be fleshy colored. This is going to be one of the most pink and red games anyone has ever seen.
Well, we could still add a bunch of color there. And
Yeah.
I think there is going to be a story, but what it is the parasites landing. And let's say he talks, the parasite, or she. It's not going to have a gender or anything like that. It's just going to be, I keep saying parasite, fucking virus. So the virus lands from another host, right? And then it talks with that host, and it has orders. And then that's what it has to do. And then the other story is going to be the body fighting. So, and I think that the way it's going to work is there's going to be different units, and these units are going to have powers. And it's going to be based on levels. But as the game progresses, these units are then going to start getting and granting immunity, where they're going to have resistance against you as they level up. And that's how you're going to use the same cells in some places, but they're going to be stronger. And then eventually there's going to be different unit types like antibiotics and vitamins and stuff. So you're going to have a bunch of different unit types out to gun to get you. And some of them you can't take over, like antibiotics and vitamins and I don't know what else. White blood cells.
Yeah, I think at first you are only fighting white blood cells, and then eventually the human host that you are infecting will start taking like supplements and stuff like that, and then that'll add more types of enemy types that function differently or are more aggressive or whatever.
Right. I do want the white blood cells to develop more powers throughout the game. They're going to be the only character that's kind of like you in the sense that they're going to get much stronger throughout.
Yeah. In terms of what stronger means, I guess they just move faster, they multiply quicker, they
I think they can go full Terminator 2, where all of a sudden they're like, when they try to punch you, like there will be like a sword that extends out, or there'll be like a scythe, or they'll have different forming powers like that as well.
So is there going to be like hand-to-hand combat kind of deal?
I think for certain cells, yes. Where there's certain cells that are going to have that option, and then other cells aren't. Like certain combat cells.
Okay, if there's going to be combat in that way, okay, here's what I'm thinking. The game can be played two different ways. You could invest in the decoy or like the distraction tree, or you could go into the more like offensive tree. And then there's going to be different cells in the body that you could take over, and each of them will have a set amount of skills. And if you're going to take over this type of cell, you're going to know what skills it has, and it's always going to have one or two offensive and one or two distraction skills. And so you go into a cell and it's like, okay, this guy could either start multiplying the virus or can make a decoy for me, or I could use it as a hand-to-hand combat / projectile type of combat if I have those things unlocked. And as you level up, you slowly get access to all those skills. And eventually you'll be using both combination of attacking when you think you take on the enemy, or if there's too many of them, you have to like be able to sneak your way out of there by multiplying and also like making other cells around that be like, I don't know, some kind of barrier away from you type of thing.
Right. And I think that we can also make the world fun to play in too by having like cell walls. There's going to be places you can sneak. I'm thinking that you can even hack. Since everything's technically organic and you're a virus, you're going to be able to hack certain things to change the cell wall so you can get in or sneak past certain parts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that way that'll assist you in getting out too. I also want the story. I don't know if I mentioned this already. I hope I don't repeat myself. So now I want the story to follow the virus and him reporting to base, or her. I'm sorry, I'm putting myself in it. As always. So it's not a gender, it's the virus. And I want the story to also follow the white blood cells, and they're having meetings. And then I think the white blood cells that's where it'll be cool to me that they'll also be investigating, and then they'll be interrogating different cells. And then the thing is, once the cell gets invaded by the virus, I wish there was a counter to see how many times I said parasite this episode. They'll kill the cell, because eventually once it's taken over by the virus, they just have to eliminate it. So it'll be like kind of like a gritty world there. But that's actually what white blood cells do.
And but I'm assuming we'll also have like small cutscenes of the actual human that we are infecting as well.
I've been avoiding that because I don't know what to do there. I think there'll be small little cutscenes there. It would be interesting if instead of it being the graphics that we use for the game, instead it's like an animated short.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can do that. I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be real people. No, I don't. That's then we're getting really close to Osmosis Jones. I'd rather not.
Okay. So all that's cool. I'm also thinking that it's also going to have just random exploration stuff you could do just in general. You kind of have to be kind of careful where if there's there's going to just be white blood cells patrolling, and you could like maybe there's a point in the game where you could kind of put a disguise, and as long as you don't do anything crazy, the white blood cells won't be able to notice you. But I think it'll be fun just to have like random things you could do in the city, just like in GTA or like a Yakuza game. You could go somewhere and interact with the city, and then interact with other cells, and actually have like side quests and stuff. And maybe most of the side quests would be you, instead of violently taking over a cell, like kind of doing a side quest to convince them to become a virus with you.
That would be interesting too, because you can find other germs as well. Like maybe you'll talk to germs who don't judge you.
Yeah.
And there's going to be good germs, and then there's going to be bad germs.
Right. And then you could also maybe there could be like a side quest or a story mission where you go into the police area or the white blood cell headquarters, and there's like viruses that and parasites including, and diseases and stuff that this human has already accomplished. So like chickenpox is like in the deepest dungeon of the headquarters of the white blood cells. And there's like, I don't know, we could have a nod to COVID or something in there.
That'd be interesting. That'd be funny. I like where we're going with this game.
Be like, oh, the cold virus, they've infected Billy 47 times.
And what if the cold virus it's like a virus that changes its masks all the time. And then the white blood cell it's a master of disguise. Because that's the thing, is it reiterates itself.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. For the music, I want the music to be different based off whatever area of the game you're in. Like if we're going to infect the gut and the bladder and stuff, that's going to be like a lot of percussion, like drum and bass and stuff. I think the brain is going to be classical music.
I was thinking like synths, because it's all electric and stuff. And I think the brain,
maybe the heart is drums and bass.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think the stomach is going to be like vacation, like tropical sounding. And I think the stomach's going to be like a water park. It's just going to be a theme park.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's funny.
The brain is where I think all the clubs and alcoholic like bars and stuff is all gonna be.
Oh, yeah. So we could do like trance and all kinds of music there.
Yeah, because I just
Whatever
think in the
club music, which
brain,
is
my idea is that that's where all, like, if you were to drink in real life or smoke or do any drugs or anything, the brain's the first thing to get affected. You know what I mean? And then also, while you're also in the brain, I think, just like clubs or whatever could be like thinking brainstorm things or whatever, but it's like its own. It's a club for its own reason. I don't know why. It just fits with the CD bar, clubbing, party, downtown area is the brain. You know what I mean?
yeah, I like it. I like it.
The heart
I was thinking,
could be like almost like a union station, like public transportation hub where it
that makes
sends
sense
you
with
out
all the
everywhere.
arteries. Yeah, and it's like bullet trains from the arteries.
Yeah, and like there's also, because of that, there's hotels there. There's like restaurants, quote unquote, whatever a restaurant would be, an oxygen bar type of thing. And there's like, this is where all the traveling stuff are. I don't know. Tourist stations. I don't know. Random shit like that.
Yeah, no, I like it. And it'll be a tourist place too, so there'll be the clubs and everything on one side of the brain, and when you get to the front side, that's going to be the touristy area, almost like Vegas, because you can see out of the eyes.
And then there's the area that is just always the biggest party you've ever seen in your entire life. It's just it's Mardi Gras every day. And those are the genitals.
Oh my gosh. So this is an adult human being that we're inhabiting here.
Yeah. I think it has to be. It has to be like an adult, I think. Because that way...
Then should we make a nod and make it funny? So there's going to be like a timer. And then when there's a timer, like you'll hear everyone start cheering, and then like confetti rains down. And then the timer starts over again. And that's just like an orgasm that's happening.
Oh, in the party? Yeah.
Now I got to rate it because I said that word. Not safe on this episode.
And then I think there should also be like random weather effects and random different effects that happen because but then it's just the human drinking alcohol or drinking water or smoking weed or smoking a cigarette. So if you're in the lungs during that, like it's like poison in that area or whatever.
The lungs would be like a cliff you have to like a windy cliff is what I imagine the lungs to be. But I like it. I like it. How much are you willing to pay for this game? This is a full pop game.
This is a full pop game. It's just weird because like, who's the audience for this? It's like, it's not.
I think it's
kids.
Somebody. You know who the audience is?
Huh?
Holy shit! There's a new AAA IP. I mean, it's weird, but I'll try it. This is cool.
Yeah.
All right. Get your timer out, Jay, because we're gonna name this game.
Go.
Virus.
It can't be this, but I want to name it Inside.
That'd be good, but it can't. You're right.
What's that one word that I can't say all the time? Autonomy?
Yeah, autonomy.
Anatomy? What's the difference between those two words?
Autonomy is your independence. So like, you're not autonomous if you can't make your own decisions and stuff.
Gotcha. I
meant have the your other own one agency. Then. So anatomy is like the body.
Yeah, call it anatomy.
That's a good one. Anatomy in
48 seconds.
In Anatomy, you play as a virus trying to infect a human being. You must fight against white blood cells, infect other cells, hide, stealth, infect, and win in Anatomy. All right, so I think we have a game here, Jay. What do you think? Would this be a game you'd want to play, and is it fun?
I mean, people did get GTA like fatigue at a certain point, but I'm like, bring them all, man. I haven't played a GTA like in a while. Mafia 3 was the last one I played.
But it's like that, but also like Dishonored, right?
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be kind of like more like kind of like an infamous game, I guess, is kind of how it's like, or not a mafia, like a Assassin's Creed game. You know what I mean? Where
Right.
it's a lot of you going around the environment in a fun way while also interacting with whatever happens. And I think it is going to be a little bit more fast paced because you're actively trying to infect the body at all times. Like in GTA terms, you're always trying to get 5 stars on you to continue the story. You know what I mean? You're trying to infect. That's what you're trying to do. And we'll also have, I think, in the game, like story missions in all the sections where if you do the mission and complete it, it vastly infects a whole part of the body because you did that mission. You know what I mean? Like there could be a mission where cold could be like, hey man, I got into lungs so much, I could tell you my secrets. And then you follow the cold around and then he'll like you together infect the lungs, like 75% of it or 25% of the lungs following the cold quest line, you know?
I like it. No, yeah, this is definitely a game I'd want to play, and I'd have a lot of fun doing it. It's a world that I haven't lived in before like that, so I think it would be really cool. I think this game is probably going to catch a mature rating, and that's going to be
100%.
kind of weird. Maybe we can escape with the T for teen because it's all just like germs
mature.
and stuff. Huh?
Mature is what it's going to be.
So
and I think
because cells are going to die.
It to look like how they thought up of like Bug's Life, where they're like, yeah, underneath this rock, it's a whole fucking New York town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's what I was going for too. Now that we have a complete game, what studio are we going to have make Anatomy?
There's only one answer here, Alex, and that's Squanch Games.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to look for studios. Squanch Games?
Squanch.
That's going to be interesting because I think we could still focus. You can tell in our episodes who we're obsessed with at the time. If you're looking at like straight episodes, we finally got away from Kojima Productions and now we're on Squanch Games. I would want it to be Squanch, but I'd say, hey, I want it to be violent too. But then that would be hilarious because then I would want to make the white blood cell Brick, and then I want to make the virus the Morty, where he's like, yo, I'll find you. I'll fucking find you. You think this cell? He's infected. Now that he's touched you, he's nothing. And he just shoots him, and then he's just like, oh shit. And then the virus can just have that Morty voice. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing Hidetaka Miyazaki and then making all like the cells. I don't want him. It sucks because I don't want it to be an Elden Ring game like that, but I would love that style of like, instead of the cells, everyone thinking that they're going to look fluffy and round, they actually look like demons. You know, like what the first time you see a biblically accurate angel and you're like, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely changes the vibe of the game drastically.
What I was also thinking though was Atlas. I thought that would be pretty fun because then the city would have a vibe, like it would feel lived in. They know how to really do that with their levels.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think of someone else who might be appropriate, but
Insomniac Games, because they did Spider-Man, and they can make levels like that too.
They haven't made like a big game in a while, but Adult Swim It's been a second since they've done something. I feel
Oh, you know who can create a world really well and then give you things to do in it? Ubisoft.
that's true.
Like it was like the answer was sitting there right in front of me in my face.
I feel like this one's a little too weird for them.
It might be, but
Yeah.
maybe that's what they need. And with that, our 212th IP has gone gold. We hope you look forward to this experience that will probably never release. We have a Patreon. If you'd like to give us extra support, please head over to patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. For just $1, patrons receive early episodes and an extra podcast at the beginning, which you caught the tail end of our conversation at the beginning of this episode. That's patreon.com/wearenotgamedevs. Like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. And if they ask for a review, instead of reviewing our show, become your inner game critic and review Anatomy, the video game we just created. Thank you for joining us today. We will be back next Friday with another new IP. Again, my name is AG.
And I'm Jay Yee.
Thank you, and please remember that we are not game devs.
Yeah.
I feel like my bad idea rut is over.
Would you say you're in a rut?
I would say that I felt like I was lacking creativity in my ideas. It didn't feel like, I guess I wasn't happy with the level of production of where they were at. So
we got a banger out of this one.
This one feels good. And I checked and we were recording the whole episode. So it's there, you know,
nice.
We nailed it.
I don't think I know how to spell the name of this episode.
Anatomy.
Anatomy? Or is it autonomy?
Yeah. Anatomy.
Anatomy.